by the way, November 1st, and I'm still seeing a lot of costumes out today. I mean, you know, guest costumes, more than I would have thought. This has to be something new. See, it's still got all the Halloween foliage, all the signs. That's different and kind of nice, actually, now that I think about it, because normally we complain about them rushing the Disneyland or the Christmas decorations. That kid should not be touching that car. So I'm trying to figure out if it's busy. I mean, it is busy, especially when I went walking down Main Street. That was pretty crowded. But is it busy for like November 1st? And I think that it's about par. That's very exciting. Come to watch Fresh Baked Disney and talk about how average things are. It takes money. So it does feel a little crowded, a little crazy. I'm a little worried about myself for a number of reasons. One, the crowds, because I don't do well in that. And it might rain. Look at those are dark clouds. Hey, that looks like a hidden Mickey right now. Those are dark clouds. It could rain. I took a risk. I did not bring an umbrella or a poncho because they kind of cramp the video recording mojo. You know what I mean? It's hard to do all this stuff. So we're gonna take a risk. There's our 6:40 Fast Pass for Space Mountain. It's still Ghost Galaxy today. I was kind of hoping for the old Space Mountain to come back because I do definitely love that much more than I love Ghost Galaxy. That is for sure. And, you know, seeing these crowds and walking through here and looking at the wait time for Space Mountain, it's made me just realize I've taken another risk today. Normally I don't come without too much of a plan. I have kind of a minimum number of ideas and I try to do things as they become available, but I've got somewhat of an agenda today and it's already starting to get messed with. And I don't know if this is going to work out for me today, man. I don't like being, tied down to a schedule, but we're going to hope for the best. And right now that schedule is taking us to the monorail. You know, standing here getting ready to go up there and board the monorail, I just remembered we have not been here since they reopened the Nemo subs. They've been open for a few weeks now, and I have not ridden the monorail since it opened because I've ridden it so many times that I didn't feel the need to come up here. But it's really great, guys. I'm noticing it's really great to have this view. This is the whole reason why I wanted the Nemo subs to stay, was for this vista right here, if you will, to come back, to be restored. I mean, right? How awesome is this, seeing those subs come out of the waterfall and get into the queue for the next lucky Nemo sub adventurers. But hey, look, monorail. We have got, like I said, an agenda. Let's go grab a monorail train. We'll probably be grabbing Monorail Blue, I think.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the Disneyland Monorail. We are now beginning a 2.5-mile journey to downtown Disney Station and back. You are riding aboard the Mark 7, the latest generation of Disneyland monorails. When Walt Disney introduced this attraction in 1959, it was the first daily operating monorail system in the Western Hemisphere for a return trip to Tomorrowland up until 1/2 hour prior to Disneyland closing. Please remain seated until the monorail comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. We're now en route to our final stop, the Tomorrowland Monorail Station. Along the way, you can get a bird's eye look at the downtown Disney District, Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, and Disney California Adventure. To the left of the monorail is the main entrance of Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Disneyland is truly an American original.
St. Esther Voice, what land is this?
This is Tomorrowland, a land inspired by science fact and fantasy. Below us is the Submarine Lagoon, where you can dive into a fantastic underwater adventure aboard the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. Across the way are the icy peaks of Matterhorn Mountain, home of the world's most famous bobsled run. And now we're riding alongside the happiest kingdom of them all, Fantasyland, home to Pinocchio, Snow White, Peter Pan, and other storybook characters.
And don't forget, keep your arms, hands, legs, feet, washers, dryers, microwaves, 3D TVs, and iPhones inside the monorail at all times. On behalf of the monorail crew of Captain Bill, I want to thank you for choosing to ride the Highway in the Sky. Hope you enjoyed the flight and enjoy the rest of your stay in the original. Wait for it. Kingdom. Celebrity voice impersonated.
So next on our Disneyland History adventure today is, well, this, I don't want to say the Nemo subs, but this whole lagoon area right here, the Nemo subs have been here since 2007, which isn't very long, you know, considering the entire history of Disneyland. Before this, everybody kind of knows that they had the submarine voyage. Now, a lot of people don't remember that this lagoon was actually shuttered. It was closed for about 9 years. From 1998 to 2007, nothing was happening here. And you know, that was because they closed the submarines. I don't remember why. Probably for the same reasons why they want to close Nemo, is because it's, you know, it's a pain in the butt to keep up, and you know, you can't cycle a lot of guests through here. But you know, it's just so wonderful that they felt like they had to bring it back, and so they spent a whole mess of money upgrading it to a Nemo sub. They changed, you know, they changed a lot of this. Actually, I take that back. A lot of these first initial water scenes are pretty similar. They've added, you know, like the little girl with the fishy in the bag, I think, you know, that kind of thing. They've added a few scenes, but it's pretty much what you saw back then. It's the scenes that when you go underwater into the showroom that have changed. But a lot of the dialogue, if you go back and watch a submarine voyage video, which they are out there on YouTube, you'll hear that a lot of the dialogue is very similar to what you're hearing today on the Nemo sub. The coolest part about the history, that, at least for me anyway, I don't know if it's cool, but the part that I find interesting is that the story of this lagoon does not begin with the submarine voyage. That didn't open for like a good 10 years after the park had opened. It opened the same time as the Matterhorn and the Monorail. All this area right here was all done in one shot. There was a massive remodel of Tomorrowland, the first one of many probably, because they did it again in the 80s, and they're going to do it again coming soon. You can count on that. Yeah, remarkably enough, this lagoon story opens with the Phantom boats, and you may recall the Phantom boats came up for me recently because I had asked everybody, you know, what they thought was the shortest lived attraction at Disneyland when we were talking about Luigi's Flying Tires, and some of you had mentioned the Phantom boats. And now, for me personally, I had forgotten that they were here in this lagoon. Whenever I think of boats, I think of, oh, you know, the Small World Mall across the way where they had Gummy Glen and the I forget what they call those other boats at the moment. So the Phantom boats opened in August of 1955 and closed in October of 56. So that's 14 months, which seems like, okay, that's a pretty long stretch. There could be some competition there for shortest ride. But when you consider that they actually closed twice, because the problem is they didn't work. They were full of mechanical problems. They would take these boats up. They would dock right here, I think, you know, somewhere along here, I would imagine. They would dock here, and guests could just ride around. There was no track. They were pretty slow. You couldn't go fast, but there was no track, so you were kind of free to go wherever. And guests were constantly being stranded out there because of mechanical failures of the engine. And they even had to have every boat at one point had a CM in it, a cast member. There was like a chaperone, as somebody to be there just in case something went wrong, and they could bring you back to dock, which is pretty incredible. That just goes to show you how expensive that must have been to operate. So I mentioned that they closed twice. That's because in January, that's just a few months, maybe like 5 months after it opened, they had to close it, and they did. And there was nothing here for a few months. Or no, I'm sorry, they were taken over by another boat, like an Everglades style boat. You know those ones that you might see, you know, like in the swamps, right? So something like that. Those didn't last for maybe a couple months, if that. And they brought back the Phantom boats again in July of 1956. So you go from August to January, that's about 5 months. Then July to October, that's another 4 months. So you've got 9 months total running time for the Phantom boats. That to me is a cool story about this lagoon, and one that we often forget. And really that's what we're going to find out today, is that so much of Disneyland, we like to think of this as a very you know, historical area without much change and everything, because so many of the attractions have been here forever. But Disneyland really is, there's a lot of renewal happening here. A lot of changeover, a lot of things that weren't here before are here new. Things that you thought were here forever have only been here since, you know, maybe the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s. I'm going to show you something later on that has barely been here at all, comparatively speaking. So there you go. There's a little history for you from the lagoon, Phantom boats, then the submarine voyage, and now we have Nemo back and ready to go for who knows how long. Maybe another year or two, until they figure out a way to turn this into some kind of Ewok village.